All right, I'm here with Francesca Gentile, a health and wellness expert and workplace strategist here at Savills, to discuss how health, wellness, and safety have become a primary focus for most individuals and companies, especially in light of the current circumstances posed by COVID-19, and also to discuss some techniques and trends that companies can incorporate into their business operations to promote a healthy work-life balance for their employees. So Francesca, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much for the introduction, John, and the opportunity to speak on something I'm very passionate about. So I joined Savills about a year ago as a workplace strategist, as you mentioned, with a key focus on health and wellness. And I've always thought that, infusing health and wellness into our environments is extremely important, but specifically within the workplace, where people actually spend most of their waking hours. This pandemic has been both a blessing and a curse from a professional standpoint. It's been incredibly painful at times, but it's also expedited many of the health and wellness workplace trends that I've been trying to preach for 4+ years. So prior to Savills, I was a wellness consultant at Delos, who pioneered the Well Building Standard, and worked with many clients across the globe to achieve WELL certification. I also launched and led our internal corporate wellness program, and I'm a certified health and wellness coach and a yoga instructor. So needless to say, I am a health and wellness junkie.
There you go. Well, we'll do a yoga session for another video, maybe, to follow up with it. So traditionally, real estate decisions have largely revolved around economics, location, efficiency as the key metrics that measure work performance. And now, while those are still important, now in light of COVID-19, health, safety, and the impact a space and policies can have on personal well-being are the new metrics that measure the effectiveness of a workplace. And to some degree, a company's culture. Have you seen a fundamental shift in how companies are prioritizing health and wellness into their company policies in light of the current circumstances?
Yeah, 100%. Having worked in wellness real estate for 4+ years now, I have never heard or seen so many companies address the importance of health and wellness, both from an at-home perspective and within the workplace. Before it was a nice to have, almost as a perk or an added amenity to a company. Companies would provide snacks or access to gyms on site and think, yep, we've got health and wellness covered here. But now it's no longer me trying to educate the user and create awareness surrounding all of the benefits of holding health and wellness at the utmost importance. It's a non-negotiable. It's an imperative for every single company, no matter how big, how small, their location, their industry. Within the last few months, I've had so many companies come to me and ask not if they should consider health and wellness, but how they can infuse it into their every day, everything from design to policy to values and mission. So 100% yes.
So there's no doubt that when people are in the right mental and physical state, they're more likely to be effective at work, which has been challenging due to the stresses that we're all experiencing right now. So take me through some of your techniques and procedures for establishing a customized health and wellness plan for companies.
Yeah, of course. So a healthy home and work environment can have so many profound effects on your productivity, engagement, mood, sleep, cognitive function, relationships, and more. And I really like how you use the word customization. Every company is different. Every individual within that company has such a unique understanding and definition of what health and wellness means to them. That said, I like to kind of simplify and contextualize health and wellness as falling into 3 main buckets. So I consider those buckets to be design, policy, and operations. So companies can create an environment through intentional design, progressive policies, and advanced operations. And and that can passively impact the health and wellness of employees and bring about positive behavioral changes. I'll give you an example. This is specifically a design example, but you think about, back when we were working in the office, an important meeting happening at 3 p.m. With upwards of 8 people involved. You likely had to pour yourself that second cup of coffee to get through that meeting, and you feel that you have this sleepy sensation coming on, and that's actually directly linked to your air quality and the increased levels of carbon dioxide in that room. So just providing both the design and the operations surrounding proper ventilation and filtration can increase engagement, performance, cognitive function, and be directly linked to profitability of a firm. So that's an example of a design decision. Healthy building materials, greater access to daylight, incorporation of natural elements, sit-stand desks. Those are more design-related elements. And I'm sure we'll get into more program policies and operations as our conversation continues.
Speaking of operations, there's only so much you can do within your space within a building. And when we do come back to work in a larger scale, there must be a symbiotic relationship between the tenants and the landlords to make sure that the buildings themselves are healthy and promoting as safe of an environment as possible. So whether that's visitor policies, cleaning standards, upgraded HVAC systems, the tenants and the landlords must be on the same page. So what are some of the major considerations and questions that tenants should be addressing with their building owners to make sure that the building and the office space are as healthy and safe as possible?
Of course. It's funny you ask, because this has really been the bulk of our work during quarantine, facilitating and guiding these conversations between tenants and their respective landlords. And we've spoken to upwards of 15 major landlords across New York. And I think the topic that we spend the most amount of time on, given the pandemic, is air quality. So what percentage of outdoor air is being pumped into the space? What level of MERV filtration is being used? Hopefully, I like to see anywhere between MERV 13 and 16. Have they thought about introduction of HEPA filtration, UV lighting? So that's been a lot of our conversation. Other obvious topics such as cleaning, upgrading the entry experience to a touchless environment through automation, voice activation, QR barcodes, kind of more future-driven, future discussions with that technology involved. And then less obvious things such as, do they have access to outdoor space? Are there natural elements throughout the space? Are there facilities to support an active commute? Secure bike storage, shower facilities, locker rooms, those type of things that may allow people to avoid mass transit. All discussions that we've had with many landlords and tenants.
So shifting more to policy and internal company policies, it's easy to feel burnt out in normal circumstances at work, let alone working from home every day and juggling the professional and personal responsibilities. I know personally, I find myself working longer, sometimes less productive hours as I'm both parenting and trying to get work done throughout the day. So from a company policy standpoint, what are some ways to prevent and cope with feeling burnt out? And how can company leaders establish a safe zone so if their employees are feeling mentally or emotionally strained, they can address that with them and perhaps in a confidential way, so they are kind of addressing it head on and it's not becoming a major impact for them and impacting their mental well-being and their work performance?
Yeah, of course. We're all dealing with so much right now. Immediate health risks to you, your families, heightened stress, anxiety, financial burden, childcare concerns, isolation, loss of sense of belonging, to name a few. And I think first and foremost is, being gentle with yourself during these times, that it's okay that you're not performing up to your usual standards. While at home, what helps me is to maintain that normal routine of, a specific wake up time, walking around the block to mimic a commute, and then creating a designated workspace that signals both my body and my mind to start my workday. the beautiful thing about working from home is the flexibility. So ability to take breaks throughout the day, get fresh air, move, exercise, engage in some sort of social interactions with family or friends, taking a healthy lunch break, and then, as you mentioned, logging off and leaving that designated workspace is really important. From an in-office perspective, I think if companies haven't incorporated programming to support mental health already, which they should have, now is the time. There is a lot of value being placed on mental health through policies and programs that can aid employees' concerns about workplace safety and their personal concerns as well. Some of these policies might include an EAP, so an employee assistant program, remote working policies, childcare support when possible. And I think the most important aspect of this programming is you have to have leadership buy-in and adoption and participation, and then you have to have the culture that's accepting of these policies. Because if the policies are set in place, but it's kind of looked down upon to engage in those policies, then people won't feel safe and supported. So again, a workplace with a greater focus on health, well-being, that work-life balance, and the choice of how, when to work, and additional built-in flexibility.
Those are all very great points. And so we touched on a little bit of operational, we touched on policy. Now let's finish by talking about some design trends for a moment. Take me through some pre and post-COVID design trends that foster health and wellness in the workplace.
Of course. With some exceptions, for the most part, we're seeing the same workplace trends. And we really do believe that COVID has just expedited the adoption. In the short term, perhaps there have been some small setbacks, more distanced workplaces, more partitions, but only in the short term. I think the long term is really the focus on building in that additional flexibility, configurability, adaptability for anything that life throws our way next. More fresh air, fresh and filtered air, that access to natural daylight, the integration of biophilia or natural elements throughout the space, mindful selection of healthy and local building materials, active design and furnishings, sit-stand desks, treadmill desks, large welcoming central staircases. And then I do think we'll see an increase in customization to support the many different work styles and preferences, and allow for that additional comfort. So think thermal and acoustic zones, and those zones differing. And then finally, using the office for a vehicle, as a vehicle for collaboration, creativity, and innovation. I think we'll see many people doing their head down focus work at home, and many people just coming to the office for that collaboration meeting space beyond what you consider to be a traditional office environment, enhanced with technology and collaborations to support that. And then just one additional point, I do think the adoption of healthy building rating systems, such as WELL, FitWell, Reset, which kind of takes the guessing out and leaves it to the experts to give guidance on how to infuse health and wellness strategies, and the implementation process. They're evidence-based, they're third-party verified, and it's an incredibly successful and great opportunity for many companies to take hold of.
I mean, I think these are all incredible points. I think what you do is incredibly valuable, and I really appreciate you spending the time to share your insights. We could probably go on for another 30 minutes and talk more about specific policies. And I know myself, I've been eyeing a walking treadmill desk, so I might just have to pull the trigger after speaking with you now.
Please do.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And who knows, maybe we'll do a yoga session next and follow with some more content. So thank you, Francesca. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Thanks so much.